I refuse to follow those rules that society has set up in the way that they control people with low self-esteem, with improper information, with branding, with marketing. I refuse to follow those rules. It's about truth.
Ye, formerly Kanye West, has always been known for being controversial, for speaking his mind, and being blunt about it. He is creatively brilliant, strongly tapped into culture, an idealist, and has a very strong sense of self. He knows who he is and what he believes, and he doesn't mind expressing it, even if that means ruffling some feathers. Recently, as of October 2022, he is in the news again for speaking his mind and saying things that have offended people, causing strife and discord and disruptions, also for wearing a shirt. For Ye, he believes he is exposing truths and punishing those who break their oaths, liars. He is calling people out. He is calling industries out and pointing out issues that he sees. He is also presenting what he feels is his vision for change, the truth that he sees. He is experiencing transits to his natal chart that are strongly activating these parts of himself. I'm not here to speak about the specifics of what he said. That is not the point here. There are many interviews of Ye and articles speaking about his recent stuff, and I'll link some below. You can watch for yourself. What I'm here to do is look at Ye's astrology and see what shows all of this. This is my opinion. Only Ye truly knows Ye. Unfortunately, there isn't a known birth time for Ye, so we will be using a noon chart for the day he was born, June 8th, 1977, and set it for the place, Atlanta, Georgia. This means we cannot use the houses at all. The ascendant and the midheaven are also not known, and the moon's degree is unreliable. Otherwise, the locations of the planets in the signs and minor bodies in the signs can be analyzed, both the natal and transits. We just don't know what specific areas of Ye's life they are expressing in. One could only speculate and make educated guesses, but we won't be doing that here. Ye was born during the late 1970s when Pluto was opposing Eris. He has embodied this disruptive and powerful energy. Pluto is currently square to Eris, and this square has ignited similar issues in society and culture that came up in the 1970s when Ye was born. He embodied that energy. We embody the energy of the time we are born, and now in the current times he is acting on it. Eris causes disruptions to the status quo, and fights back brutally against those who think they are gods, kings, authoritarians, elites, the establishment, and in the personal life individuals who feel that way. Ye has also spoken like he is a god at times, or at least very powerful, and this is also shown with that Pluto opposite Eris in his chart. One odd way to spot Eris in a person or happening in society is to look for, does attention make its power and the strife it is causing grow? If yes, then it is most likely Eris. Would there be an actual issue if it weren't for the attention and focus on the thing or person? From looking at his chart and the transits involved, I would argue that Ye is attempting to speak deep truths he feels and is attempting to balance his South Node in Aries, desire to be blunt, direct, and say exactly what he wants, and he's balancing that with his North Node in Libra, asking him to be tactful, graceful about what he says, and to be balanced and fair. And you can see this happen at times in interviews. He doesn't like being told what to do or how to speak, very much his South Node in Aries.
I want you to reflect.
No, have we grown?
Have we grown?
You're not in charge of my growth. You're not in charge of my growth, Chris.
Okay, let me phrase it like this. I'm about to suggest to you.
You can't tell me what to do or feel, first of all.
I know, but I can tell you what is wrong about what you say.
Usually when dealing with the masses as a whole, it doesn't matter if you are correct or not in what you say. How the info is presented is what matters. People are mostly sensitive. If the person you are communicating to gets turned off immediately and doesn't listen, then have you really communicated? As a Gemini sun, Ye's psychological center comes from observing the world, experiencing the world, people, and life, and communicating those observations and experiences. Ye is doing this fully. Ye doesn't always act like the typical Gemini because of the conjunction of Jupiter to his sun. He falls heavy on the side of communicating those observations, especially nowadays, and having strong opinions and strong beliefs. His communication skills are also expressed through his art and music as well. and all those personal planets in Taurus show his affinity for art and music. One of the issues a lot of people seem to have with Ye recently is how he is saying what he is saying. His North Node asks him to learn tact and grace and how he does it. This does not mean censoring oneself or going against one's beliefs or thoughts. This is emphasized by a few different pundits and commentators who also make a similar point. They acknowledge what he is saying, or at least trying to say, but are annoyed or turned off by how he says it and the exact words he uses.
I do think it's funny that Kanye says this stuff about like a Jewish mafia. And now I'm just like, okay, Kanye. But now there's memes of Kanye, Elon, and Trump together. Yeah. I do think it's fair to point out though, I don't know what Kanye's trying to say. If he thinks there's like a secret conspiracy, he's wrong. But look, there's an Italian mafia. Like that's the thing that they refer to, like the mob, it's Italian. If you point out if there's an organization of 50 people and they're Jewish, would you not call them the Jewish mafia?
Yeah, you can't make gross generalizations. Be specific,
Of course, Kanye, for some reason, has decided that he now needs to go on every podcast, every show, everywhere, which is very ill-advised. Because although I certainly believe he is a genius savant, and if you have the ability to stick with it and listen to him, he's saying really true things and important things. But this is not how the world functions.
Over 50% of the executives in Hollywood, the CEOs, are Jewish. And these guys know each other.
That's different than saying it's a mafia and that they act as Jews in some way, as opposed to just being businessmen. One plays to a prejudice. The other one just plays to people and an ugly business, which is what the record business is. So you can have your feelings about it, just don't ascribe it to their faith.
Also, transit Eris is still conjunct Ye's South Node in Aries. So he isn't done with the disruptions to the status quo. Eris is also square to Ye's Orcus in Cancer. Orcus is a minor body that is the part of our psyche that holds deep lies, or acts as a punisher for the deep lies. Orcus punishes broken oaths, which is just a punisher of lies. There are the mercurial type of lies, the superficial lies, the temporary lies. And there are Orcus lies, deep lies, breaking one's word. When we say something and know deep down we did not mean it, this is all Orcus in our psyche. It is also our ability to sense when we are being lied to and manipulated. Because of their opposing yet similar orbits, Orcus is the, quote, anti-Pluto, even though they both are related to the underworld, our subconscious. But Orcus is the anti-Pluto because its ability is to sense and call out manipulation, lies, cruelty, and many other of the negatives of Pluto. And as a slow-moving planet, Orcus brings out the lies of whatever sign it is in. Currently, it is in the sign of Virgo. Transit Pluto is exactly opposite his natal Orcus currently, and transit Orcus is square to his Jupiter opposite Neptune and square to his Sun. The transit of Orcus to Ye's Sun, Jupiter, and Neptune is Orcus acting upon his psyche. It is forcing him to be honest with himself, and with the involvement of Neptune, it is forcing him to see the truth in what he believes, the narratives he has about the world. This brings a strong Orcus focus for him right now. The second transit is Pluto opposing his natal Orcus and squaring his nodes. Orcus is square to the moon's nodes in his chart, so this whole life path and spiritual growth is connected to Orcus. Planets in aspect to the nodes influence one's karmic path. But with the transit of Pluto opposing his Orcus, it is activating Orcus as well as the nodes. And this is where Ye is embodying Orcus and being the, quote, punisher of broken oaths. He, his Orcus, is in opposition to the Pluto and Capricorn energy. Transit Pluto has been in Capricorn for over a decade. This period has given great power to the establishment in many areas of society. Media, politics, banking, medicine, etc. This power has caused their corruption and abuse to come to the surface, and just simply the negatives of the structures of society as a whole. It doesn't necessarily have to be nefarious. The negatives of too much power for too few. Ye has consistently called out the music industry and its abuses, especially in the past decade. It has reached a head now because transit Pluto has moved to oppose his natal Orcus, bringing it fully out of him. His psyche has embodied that Orcus punisher, and Orcus is brutal in its truths and in its punishments. These brutal truths are the punishments of Orcus. Like I mentioned in my Orcus video, it is the brutal truths that can rock our subconscious. We don't just see them overnight. For reference, someone else who has Orcus very prominent in their natal chart and is also going through an Orcus transit is Donald Trump. And we can see similarities in how both Trump and Ye have been calling out what they perceive as the lies and corruption and what they see as the Pluto and Capricorn entities. Ye is going to experience one more exact opposition from transit Pluto to his natal Orcus. This will occur in mid-November. So I would expect more from Ye publicly in the next couple months, especially November. Whatever got unlocked or triggered in his psyche in early October as Pluto moved direct in motion will continue. The eclipse in Scorpio on October 25th will be opposed to his natal Venus and Mars as well. And also Mars will retrograde back across his Sun, Jupiter in Gemini over the next few months, adding energy to the transit Orcus square natal Sun, Jupiter, and Neptune, activating it more. Ye also has natal Jupiter opposite his natal Neptune, and the current Orcus transit is square to this. Ye is zealous and believes what he believes strongly, and he can be unclear in what he is saying sometimes, or appear unclear to some. He can come across as overly paranoid at times to some, and people dismiss him outright as crazy. Transit Orcus square to this opposition in his chart is going to help him mature even more what he believes and understands. He is going through a lot of growth and is doing it very publicly. But again, with the opposition from Pluto to his natal Orcus happening as well, he is being pulled by a similar need to call out others and help others grow and help society grow at large. Both transits happening at once really help him embody the Orcus archetype, both internally and personally, as well as externally and societally. Overall, Ye will be just fine. He is handling these intense transits in his own chart and psyche rather well, considering everything.